Is it really possible for you to lose 20 pounds of stubborn belly fat in 30 days without strict dieting? Well, that really depends on two things. The first is what your current starting position is, because if you're 100 pounds overweight, it will be much easier for you to lose 20 pounds of stubborn body fat compared to if you are just 15 pounds overweight. And the second factor is how committed you are to actually making this happen and how disciplined you will be in implementing the advice from this video. Because the fact of the matter is that more information is definitely something that you don't need. We live in a world of information overload, so the most important thing is for you to actually execute on what you will learn in this video. Alright, so the number one thing to understand is that if you are currently overweight, it is because your insulin levels are out of whack. Insulin is a master hormone, and it dictates how much of the food you eat is actually stored as fat and how much of the energy expenditure you have is actually taken up by fat. All right, so the first thing you need to do is focus on your nutrition. Now, there's so many diets out there, there's so much advice on what type of foods you can eat and which ones you shouldn't, and the fact is that all of these diets work. All of these diets have gotten people results, but the number one thing for you to understand, and the number one thing that all of the food scientists and all of these different diets agree on, is the foods that are not doing your body any good. All right, the first of these foods is refined sugars. The second of these foods is refined grains. Both of these foods are instantly absorbed when you eat them by your bloodstream, and then your pancreas releases insulin because excess amounts of glycogen in your bloodstream is toxic, and they basically mess up your insulin by causing a spike in your insulin. All right, so the first two foods, refined sugars, refined grains, remove them. The third of these foods is vegetable oils. Sunflower oil, safflower oil, soybean oil, canola oil, all of these are very full of polyunsaturated fats, which actually increase the amount of inflammation in your body, and inflammation is causing you to store excess body fat. So if you do everything else right, but you have these three foods in your system, then your insulin levels will be suboptimal. Right? So the second thing I want you to do is to control your food timing. Make sure that you are eating your first meal and your last meal every single day on a more or less consistent basis. And if you can, practice time restricted eating. Okay, so I recommend you keep an 8-hour eating window in between which you fit all of your meals. And they've done studies on this in which they brought two groups of participants. They gave both of them the same amount of calories and the same amount of macronutrients, proteins, carbs, and fats. But the only difference was that one group ate all their meals within an 8-hour window and the other group ate whenever they wanted. And of course, the difference was that the group that ate all of their meals within an 8-hour window ended up losing way more body fat. And the reason for this is because digestion is one of your body's most complicated and resource intensive functions, and the less time your body focuses on digestion, the more time it is able to function on other key tasks like supporting brain function, getting rid of inflammation, and using fat for fuel. And the third thing that you can do to really speed up that fat loss is to exercise. All right, now I do not mean cardio, because cardio can burn maybe 100 calories or 200 calories, and that's after an intense session. What I want you to do is strength training. All right, you can just do pull-ups, push-ups, and squats if you don't want to go to the gym, but the number one thing is to build more muscle. The more muscle you have on your body, the more calories your body will actually burn at rest. All right, so work your way up to doing about 15 pull-ups, do about 50 push-ups, and if you work your way to this level, then you will have more muscle on your body and be able to lose more calories as a result. All right, forget about everything else and just do these three things, and I can guarantee that you will lose more fat in the next 30 days than you have in the last 12 months.